Ever look around and wonder why so many people seem to be drowning in debt while others quietly build fortunes? What if I told you the path to true financial freedom lies in ancient wisdom that goes against almost everything modern society preaches about money? Stay tuned. Imagine knowing the financial playbook that has created over 1 million new millionaires in just 2 decades in one country. These aren't Wall Street tricks, but time-tested principles. Are you ready to unlock these secrets for your own financial future? Have you ever wondered why it seems so many Americans are caught in a cycle of debt, while a place like China has minted over 1 million new millionaires in just the last 2 decades? The answer might genuinely surprise you, because it challenges much of what we're typically taught about money, especially in America. While Western culture often encourages showcasing wealth, think flashy cars and designer labels, the Chinese traditionally follow a remarkably different path. They focus on building what I term silent wealth. These are fortunes carefully accumulated without big displays, without unnecessary excess, and crucially, without the crushing weight of debt. It's fascinating to note that even an investment titan like Warren Buffett reportedly uncovered these very principles by observing his Chinese business partners. He realized they were adhering to ancient yet incredibly effective strategies that almost guarantee financial security and consistent, steady growth over time. Today, you're going to learn all 7 of these powerful Chinese financial secrets. These are insights that can genuinely transform your financial future, no matter what your starting point is right now. If you're truly committed to learning these potent principles, the kind the mainstream financial industry might not readily share, go ahead and drop a quick comment below saying, "I'm ready for wealth." Wealth Topmax warmly welcomes you. This channel is dedicated to sharing wealth-building mindsets for those seeking financial and time freedom. If you don't want to miss out on future valuable insights, consider subscribing for free and turning on the notification bell. Let's begin with the very first secret, one that has arguably contributed to creating more Chinese millionaires than any other. It's all about the concept of silent wealth, often encapsulated in the idea of Kai Bu Lu Bias. For the past 20 years, China has been creating millionaires at a pace that almost defies imagination. And while it's common in many Western societies to see wealth flaunted through luxury cars and high-end designer clothes, the Chinese approach is often radically different. They tend to accumulate their wealth quietly, without fanfare, without needless excess. They're building substantial fortunes that few might see on the surface, but many would undoubtedly envy if they knew the full picture. Think about this. Warren Buffett, arguably America's most successful and revered investor, took the time to closely study and take notes on the strategies of his Chinese business partners. When someone of his caliber pays that kind of attention, shouldn't we all lean in and listen? What he reportedly uncovered wasn't some form of complicated financial wizardry. Instead, it was a set of ancient, time-tested rules, principles that virtually guarantee financial security and steady, sustainable growth. The Chinese concept, often associated with the god of wealth, teaches something truly profound, something that often runs counter to what we see glorified in Western culture. True prosperity isn't about showing off your money. It's about diligently protecting it and wisely accumulating more. There's a powerful and well-known saying in China, Kai Bu Lu Bai, which essentially means never display your wealth. Now, this isn't about being cheap or miserly. Far from it. It's about being incredibly strategic. Consider someone like Jack Ma, the billionaire founder of Alibaba. You rarely, if ever, see him flaunting designer labels or a fleet of exotic cars. His focus has consistently been on building long-term investments that compound and grow over time, while others might be tempted to waste money on status symbols that rapidly lose their value. Take a moment now to reflect on your own financial decisions. Honestly, how many purchases have you made, perhaps simply to impress others? That $60,000 luxury car that likely lost $10,000 in value the moment you drove it off the dealer's lot? Or maybe that $5,000 watch that, at the end of the day, tells the exact same time as a reliable $100 one? What about the bigger house in that trendier neighborhood, the one that stretches your budget to uncomfortable, stressful limits each month? Here's a crucial takeaway. Every single dollar you spend trying to look rich is a dollar that can't be put to work, making you actually rich. This first wealth secret isn't complicated at all. It's something anyone, anywhere can start applying today. Before your next significant purchase, just ask yourself one simple, powerful question. Am I buying this because I genuinely need it, or because I want other people to see me with it? This single question, consistently asked, has helped create countless Chinese millionaires who might appear quite ordinary on the outside but possess extraordinary net worth statements. It's not about depriving yourself of joy or comfort. It's about consciously choosing real, sustainable wealth over the fleeting appearance of it. So, if these wealthy Chinese individuals aren't wasting their money on flashy status symbols, what exactly are they doing with all that cash? That question leads us directly to our second secret, a financial habit so powerful it's been credited with transforming an entire nation's wealth in just a single generation. And interestingly, unlike what most financial advisors might tell you, it has very little to do with finding the perfect investment. This brings us to the powerful principle of the savings culture, deeply embedded in traditions like Hongbao and the concept of a wealth cycle. In America, the personal savings rate often hovers around a mere 3 to 5%. Now, compare that to China, where it frequently exceeds a staggering 36%. Just let that difference sink in for a moment. For every $100 an American earns, they might save, say, $5. A typical Chinese person, on the other hand, is diligently putting away $36 or even more. And it's crucial to understand we're not just talking about millionaires here. This is common among average people across all income levels. This staggering difference isn't some accident of economics. It's deeply cultural, and it often starts with something you might have seen during Chinese New Year celebrations. The famous Hongbao, those iconic red envelopes filled with cash. But what most Westerners don't always realize is that these aren't just simple gifts. They are, in effect, powerful financial lessons cleverly disguised as cherished tradition. From a very young age, Chinese children learn that money should generally be saved, not spent immediately. When a child receives a Hongbao, parents will typically advise, "Don't spend this now, save it for something truly important." This simple, repeated practice instills financial discipline from an early age, creating adults who often have a fundamentally different relationship with money than what we commonly observe in America. Think about it. In China, many teenagers already have substantial savings accounts before they even start their first proper job. Meanwhile, in America, young adults often enter adulthood burdened with student loan debt and sometimes unchecked spending habits. The difference in mindset and outcome is truly striking. One culture actively teaches delayed gratification and strategic, long-term thinking about money, while the other often seems to promote immediate consumption and instant gratification. Here's how this difference translates into everyday life. Americans often focus on looking rich now, sometimes by spending next month's paycheck through credit cards and financing virtually everything. The Chinese, by contrast, tend to focus on becoming rich over time, prioritizing saving first and then spending only what's prudently left over. It's a complete reversal of priorities that, unsurprisingly, creates dramatically different financial outcomes. Want to apply this profound wisdom to your own life? You can start with what I call the Hongbao rule. Whenever money comes in, whether it's your paycheck, a bonus, or a gift. Immediately set aside a predetermined percentage for savings before you spend a single dime on anything else. Treat this savings portion as if it doesn't even exist for your current spending needs. You can begin with just 10% if that feels more manageable, but aim to gradually work your way toward that Chinese average of 30 to 40% over time. Now, if Chinese people are saving so much of their income, what's their secret to avoiding the pitfalls of debt? That's where our third wealth secret comes into play. A principle so fundamental to Chinese financial thinking that it might genuinely shock you, especially if you've been raised in America's often credit-first culture. Let's talk about the principle. Debt is slavery, or Kong Bu Jie Dai. Tell me how you handle debt, and I can often tell you whether you're on the path to being rich or poor. In America, credit is frequently treated as something natural, almost a rite of passage, a convenient pathway to having things before you can actually afford them. But in China, debt isn't typically viewed as a helpful financial resource. Instead, it's more often seen as a dangerous trap, one that consumes wealth before it even has a chance to grow. There's a powerful saying deeply rooted in Chinese culture, Qiong Bu Jie Dai, which roughly translates to, "The poor should not borrow money." This might sound counterintuitive to many Western ears. After all, isn't borrowing how you get ahead when you don't have much capital to start with? But the Chinese understanding often runs deeper. They recognize that excessive debt is one of the fastest ways to destroy wealth, sometimes before it can even be created. Look at how differently debt is perceived in our two cultures. In America, having multiple credit cards is quite normal. Financing everything, from cars and furniture to the latest iPhone, is often considered standard practice. The average American household, unfortunately, carries over $6,000 in credit card debt alone. Meanwhile, in China, less than 20% of the population regularly uses credit cards, and many families will only purchase major items like homes or cars when they can pay at least 50%, if not more, upfront in cash. This isn't primarily about a lack of access to credit. It's about a fundamental difference in philosophy. Chinese financial wisdom teaches that using money you don't yet possess is an enormous risk. You're essentially betting that your future financial situation will always be favorable, stable, and predictable. And as we all know from life experience, life doesn't always work out that way. When you borrow money, you're not just paying for an item, you're paying the original price plus significant interest. That $35,000 car can easily become a $42,000 car after financing. That $4,000 furniture set might become a $5,200 purchase when you spread the payments out over 3 years. Every single dollar you pay in interest is a dollar that could have been invested, working to grow your wealth instead of your lenders. Are you ready to apply this piece of Chinese wisdom to your own finances? Start by stopping the financial bleeding, so to speak. If you're currently carrying high-interest debt, make eliminating it your absolute top priority. Before making any significant new purchase, ask yourself, do I really need this right now, or am I just being impatient? And perhaps most importantly, try to adopt the Chinese perspective that if you need to finance a consumer purchase, you simply can't truly afford it yet. But avoiding debt is just the beginning. Chinese wealth builders aren't just focused on today's financial decisions, they are consistently playing a much longer game. And that brings us to our fourth secret, a mindset shift that could completely transform your financial future, potentially for generations to come. This is the power of a long-term focus, or how the Chinese often build wealth for generations. Ask an American about their financial plans, and they'll likely talk about their next vacation, or perhaps the new car they're hoping to buy. Ask a Chinese person, and they might very well tell you about their 20 or 30-year strategy. In America, and indeed in many Western societies, we often seem obsessed with immediate rewards. We want results now, satisfaction today, and quick returns on our investments. But in China, the prevailing mentality is often fundamentally different. Many financial decisions are made with the next several decades firmly in mind. This long-term perspective even has a name in Chinese culture, Ji Fu Chang Fu, which can be interpreted as accumulate and hide wealth, or more broadly, build and preserve wealth. This concept teaches that wealth shouldn't just be accumulated for oneself. It should be diligently protected and strategically expanded over time, creating a lasting legacy that extends far beyond one's own lifetime. But before we continue, I want to ask you something. Are you enjoying these wealth secrets so far? Because trust me, we're just getting started, and there's more valuable insight to come. If you are, take a quick second to leave a comment below saying, "I'm applying these secrets," so I know to create more content like this for you. Done? Great. Let's keep going with this powerful fourth secret. The contrast between these cultural approaches is stark. Many Americans live paycheck to paycheck, primarily focused on immediate needs and wants. Chinese families, however, often prioritize buying income-producing real estate, building businesses designed to last for generations, and investing with time horizons that span decades, not just fiscal quarters. Here's an eye-opening statistic. Studies have shown that a staggering 70% of wealthy American families lose their entire fortune by the second generation. 70%. Meanwhile, many Chinese families have successfully maintained and even grown their wealth for centuries. The difference here isn't usually luck or raw intelligence. It's often down to meticulous planning and a deeply ingrained long-term perspective. Chinese families actively educate their children about money management from a young age. They often involve them in family financial decisions and meticulously prepare them not just to preserve, but to actively expand the family's wealth. This multi-generational perspective profoundly changes how money is viewed. It's not just your money. It's seen as a resource that belongs to your lineage, entrusted to you temporarily before being passed on to the next generation, ideally in even better condition. This fosters a profound sense of stewardship rather than simple ownership. To apply this Chinese wisdom to your life, start thinking beyond your own personal timeline. Instead of focusing solely on your retirement, begin to consider how your financial decisions today will impact your children and even your grandchildren. Look to invest in assets that can be passed down, like income-producing properties or sustainable family businesses. And most importantly, actively educate your family about money. Because wealth that isn't understood is, more often than not, wealth that won't last. But even with this admirable long-term perspective, Chinese families are typically incredibly practical and disciplined about day-to-day expenses. And that brings us smoothly to our fifth secret, a method for controlling spending that doesn't necessarily require deprivation, just intelligence and mindfulness. Let's explore spending control, the Chinese method for avoiding waste, often known as jiajian. If I told you that you might be unknowingly throwing away hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars each month without even realizing it, would you believe me? The hard truth is, often the greatest enemy of your wealth isn't what you earn. It's what you spend without careful thought. In America, impulse purchases are largely normalized. Constant sales, easy payment plans, and the ubiquity of credit cards make unnecessary spending dangerously easy. But the Chinese often have a system for avoiding this common trap. They frequently follow a powerful principle that aims to eliminate waste and maximize the true value of every single dollar spent. This principle is jijian, which can be translated as intelligent frugality. Now, jijian doesn't mean being cheap or stingy. It means making every cent work effectively for you, instead of just spending without clear criteria or purpose. Chinese families often analyze whether each purchase truly brings long-term value to their lives. If something doesn't add lasting value, they simply don't buy it. It's not uncommon for many Chinese millionaires to avoid expensive restaurants regularly, preferring to cook at home. They might drive modest, reliable cars even when they could easily afford luxury vehicles. They often live in comfortable but reasonable homes rather than sprawling, ostentatious mansions. This isn't because they don't enjoy life. It's because they prefer to direct their money toward things that truly matter to them and, ideally, appreciate in value over time. A fascinating study once revealed that Americans spend, on average, approximately $5,500 annually on impulse purchases alone. That's over $5,000 a year. That's money that could have been invested, potentially growing to over $15,000 in just a decade, with the power of compound returns. The Chinese culture of frugality generally ensures that families spend less on temporary pleasures, and as a result, save more for building lasting wealth. Want to apply this wisdom to your own life? Try the 24-hour rule. Whenever you feel the urge to buy something non-essential, something that isn't a genuine need, make yourself wait a full 24 hours before making the decision. This simple cooling-off period can dramatically reduce impulse buying and forces you to reflect on whether the purchase is truly necessary or just a fleeting want. Also, try classifying your purchases into 3 distinct categories. Necessities, things absolutely essential for living, like basic food and shelter. Investments, things that have the potential to generate financial returns or increase in value. And desires, non-essential wants or luxuries. Before buying anything, ask yourself which category it falls into, and crucially, whether it aligns with your long-term financial goals. Now, with all this careful spending and diligent saving, how do the Chinese typically keep track of where every dollar goes? That question brings us to our 6th insightful secret. A budgeting system so effective it's been used by successful Chinese businesses and families for centuries. And I'm curious, before we dive into this one, did you already know about some of these Chinese wealth secrets? Or is this information completely new to you? Are you perhaps already applying any of these principles in your own financial life? Take a moment to share your experience in the comments below. I'd genuinely love to know which of these secrets has resonated with you the most so far, or if you've seen these principles work in your own finances. Let's now delve into the 6th secret, the Chinese budget, or how to plan your money like a master, often referred to as Zhangben. Think about it. If you don't truly know where your money is going, how can you realistically expect to build wealth effectively? Most people, unfortunately, don't actively control their spending. They simply hope there will be some money left at the end of the month. But the Chinese often do things very differently. They frequently follow a system called Zhangben, which literally translates to accounting book. This isn't just a simple budget as many in the West might think of it. It's a comprehensive plan for sustained financial growth. Since ancient times, Chinese families have often meticulously recorded every single income and expense, ensuring that each dollar has a clear purpose and a designated destination. This ingrained habit helps prevent waste and ensures that money doesn't just sit idle without a specific purpose, vulnerable to thoughtless spending. It's a system that has been used by families, businesses, and even great empires throughout Chinese history. You'll find that even small merchants in China often maintain detailed records of all their transactions. This is to ensure that money is always under control, meaning no one is ever unpleasantly surprised by expenses that seem to have just disappeared without explanation. The contrast with common Western budgeting, or lack thereof, is often stark. Many Americans don't know exactly how much they spend each month. Their budgets, when they even exist, are frequently based on rough estimates rather than actual hard numbers. Many also leave significant amounts of money sitting in low-yield checking accounts without a specific goal, which almost inevitably leads to wasteful or impulsive spending. In China, however, budgets are often detailed and updated regularly. Money always has a defined purpose. Nothing is spent without a plan. Any amount saved is typically immediately reinvested or stored with a specific, predetermined goal in mind. Studies consistently show that people who actively and meticulously track their expenses are twice as likely to achieve their financial goals. So, while many Americans may live paycheck to paycheck, the Chinese approach often ensures that every cent is used strategically. To apply this wisdom to your own finances, start by creating your own Jiangben. You can use a simple notebook, a spreadsheet, or a budgeting app to record all your income and expenses. Categorize each expenditure, perhaps as essential, investment, or discretionary. The goal is to gain exact conscious control over where your money is going. Define a plan for every dollar that comes in. Nothing should be without a destination. A common approach is to divide your budget, perhaps 50% for necessities, like housing, food, and transportation, 30% for investments and savings, and 20% for leisure and extras. And critically, review your budget weekly. Even small, consistent adjustments can ensure that no single expense spirals out of control. Now, with all this careful planning, diligent saving, and disciplined spending, how do the Chinese often accelerate their wealth building beyond what most people might think is possible? That brings us to our seventh and arguably one of the most powerful secrets, a concept that has likely helped create more millionaires in China than perhaps any other single factor. This final secret is financial networking, or how the Chinese use connections to create wealth, a concept often embodied in guanxi. If you lost all your money today, every single cent, how long do you think it would take you to recover it? The answer to that question often depends on one of the greatest, yet sometimes overlooked, secrets of wealth building, something the Chinese have mastered like few others: the profound power of financial networking. In China, there's a deeply ingrained concept called guanxi, which translates roughly to strategic relationships or connections. This is the powerful idea that the right connections can open doors and create opportunities that money alone simply cannot. The Chinese don't just accumulate wealth in isolation. They actively cultivate and nurture networks of contacts that ensure a steady flow of opportunities to grow financially. Think about it. One good connection, one strong relationship, can lead you to an investment, a partnership, or a business opportunity that you would likely never find on your own through conventional channels. Many Chinese businesses, for instance, don't make deals based solely on contracts or the lowest bid, but heavily on trust relationships that have been carefully built and maintained over many years, sometimes even generations. It's also common for many Chinese millionaires to have helped each other out over time, creating a reciprocal environment where opportunities consistently existed and flowed within their trusted network of contacts. The contrast with how networking is often approached in America can be quite revealing. In the US, networking is frequently transactional, often focused primarily on immediate, tangible benefits. People might make connections without necessarily investing the time to build deep, long-term trust. There's often more emphasis on individualism, with many trying to grow their careers or businesses largely alone. In China, however, networking, or guanxi, is generally a continuous, ongoing, and highly strategic process. Trust and reciprocity are absolutely fundamental. Helping someone today often means receiving help or an opportunity tomorrow. Opportunities, information, and resources tend to flow within the network. One good, solid connection can mean a lifelong partnership or a series of mutually beneficial ventures. Independent studies often show that a significant percentage, sometimes as high as 70% of major job and business opportunities arise not from formal applications, but through personal connections and networking. So, while many in the West might try to grow primarily on their own merits, the Chinese often ensure that their networks grow and strengthen right alongside them. To apply this powerful wisdom and accelerate your own financial life, start building meaningful relationships before you actually need them. Networking shouldn't be something you only do when you desperately want something. Focus on strengthening long-term, authentic relationships. Small gestures of genuine help and support today can transform into major opportunities for collaboration and growth in the future. Make an effort to create a network of valuable contacts. Connect with people who share similar financial goals and values as you. Actively seek out mentors who can guide you and partners who can teach you and potentially open new doors. And critically, instead of just asking for favors, always strive to be valuable to others in your network as well. If you help someone succeed today, it's highly likely that in the future, that person or someone in their network may help you grow even more. Now that you know these 7 powerful Chinese secrets to building silent, sustainable wealth, here's the final, most important challenge. Which of these secrets will you start applying in your own life, starting today? If you've made it this far into the video, you're already a significant step ahead of most people. You've gained the knowledge. Now it's time to transform that knowledge into concrete action. I genuinely want to hear from you right now. Which of these 7 wealth secrets are you going to implement first in your financial life? Please leave a comment below with the number or name of the secret you're starting with, and perhaps a brief reason why you chose that particular one. I make it a point to read every comment, and I love seeing your progress and commitment. And while you're at it, on a scale of 0 to 10, how would you rate the value of these Chinese wealth principles we've discussed today? Your feedback is invaluable and helps me create even better content that's tailored to what you truly want to learn next. So, there you have it. 7 profound, time-tested strategies from Chinese financial wisdom that can pave your way to building not just riches, but lasting, silent wealth. It's about a shift in mindset, valuing quiet accumulation over loud displays, prioritizing long-term growth over short-term gratification, and understanding that true financial strength is built on discipline, strategic saving, prudent spending, and powerful connections. Choose one principle to start with, master it, then add another. The journey to financial well-being is a marathon, not a sprint. If you found this valuable, don't forget to like, subscribe, and save this video so you're ready for the next one in this Wealth Topmax series.